everyone. It is Tuesday, June 25th at around 6:45 a.m. I am just about to get harvesting for my florist co-op market tomorrow because it's going to thunder when I get back from work today. And I thought it would be fun to do a video to show what it looks like to sell predominantly one focal flower, which is lilies. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Jessie. I am in my second year of cut flower farming in Zone 6B in New Jersey. I had a newborn earlier in the year in March, and I just started going back to work. And this time of year, it gets really overwhelming with weeds and everything. But I have one focal flower that I've been focusing on, and I'm basically either letting everything else kind of not go to seed, but just, you know, just do their thing, hang out there. Like there's Rudbeckia in that corner, as you can tell, putting down some panels to clean up the pathways and to clean up the rows. I'm actually going to redo the layout of this entire field, more to come on that later. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm really not making mixed bouquets. Most of my sales now are going to be straight lily bunches. If not, lilies will be the primary focal, and I'm not adding a lot of ancillary types of flowers. So I thought it would be nice to break down how many stems I can sell of lilies, because now I'm starting to get a lot more of them. What that looks like selling to florists versus retail to customers, and how much money someone can make doing this as a side gig. And when I say side gig, really side gig, I'm going back to a pretty demanding full-time job. And last night I woke up no less than 3 times because I think the baby is going through some sort of 4-month, I don't know if it's sleep regression or whatever, but she was drinking like she hadn't drank in ages. So some sort of growth spurt at least. So I am tired. I don't have the mental or physical capacity to go ahead and be really maintaining a field and making gorgeous mixed bouquets. So I'm focusing on lilies because they are now all starting to bloom. I have found them to be quite profitable given the amount of time and effort that I'm putting into them. And so that's what this video is going to be about, to show you in the week of selling lilies in the height of summer, when it typically sucks to be outside, but it is a gorgeous 66 degrees outside right now. So I'm gonna harvest for the market. Ironically, not lilies. I have a couple of orders that are not lily related. They are actually for things that self-seeded, like amaranth over here. So I'm gonna be able to sell some of that, and then we're gonna talk lilies after. Guys, let's take this moment to talk about this crazy branching volunteer sunflower. I think this is Firecracker. This is a true branching sunflower. It's not like a pro cut that just randomly decided to branch. But what I have finally realized with branching sunflowers is that if you give them enough room, they will generate a ton of usable stems. So, I mean, these look a little bit small, but I just harvested one that is a great size for bouquet work. You can see that it is perfectly closed stage, but just about to open. And this is what the flower looks like. It's starting to droop right now because this is old, but I've gotten 7 stems off this already, and there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 more usable stems, if not maybe 9. So as someone who is not doing a lot of retail sunflowers, I might be doing this more often. And I also love the shade that they are providing some plants, like even the dahlias, from the afternoon sun. So this was just a volunteer that went up. I left it, and I like what I'm seeing. So I've made some money off of this volunteer, ironically. So I took a peek. Some of these lilies are ready for harvest, and I am harvesting. And as I was harvesting, guess what I saw? It's 2 ladybugs. It's like they're spooning. A cute sight, but also not always a cute indicator, because ladybugs go where the aphids are. So there's probably some aphids around here, but I haven't seen any big infestation that's clear to the naked eye. So this is one of those things where you look at insects, and after a while you get a better understanding of, oh, ladybugs are here. Why are they here? Like Orias or lacewings, right? So it gives you clues as to what could be happening depending on what they like to eat. So I'm headed back to the garage where I'm going to process some of the stuff. I've got a mix of lilies here. So this is a little bit below average type of harvest. I'm harvesting obviously pretty early. If you don't know when to harvest lilies, I did a video on this before, so definitely check it out. I'll put it up here as well as in the link or in the description. And this stage, I'm not selling it at the market tomorrow. It's not open enough, but this stage is good enough for me to sell for my CSA customers on Friday, which is 4 days from now. And we've got a few varieties in here. We've got a yellow called Catina. We've got Zelmira, which is my favorite peach. Gaucho, which is, I call it kind of like an inside out stargazer, which is like not a great description, but it's got mostly white with a very deep saturated pink in the center stripes. And I think that's all. And then we have a mystery variety that I don't know what it is because I didn't label correctly. So these just go directly downstairs in the basement. I'm not even gonna put these in the cooler because I've harvested them early enough where they can stay even in 70-degree room temperature and just slowly start to open, which is what I want to see. But this is the harvest I had from some other stuff. Not a lot, but I want to get the amaranth processed, meaning I want to get them wrapped and in their final bucket, because I find that they have a habit of drooping if I don't wrap them. And that might be because I've been harvesting them pretty early. I find the mature ones tend to be a little bit more straight, but no need to take risks. So I'm going to process. It's now about 6:30 in the evening. I got back home about 45 minutes ago. So it's time to put together the lilies. I still have a bunch in the refrigerator, so I'm not going to take that out yet, but I am going to process all the pre-orders and then put some together for market floor. And I'll talk about my rationale for the types of lilies that I bring to the market and the types that I'll keep in my refrigerator for my CSA customers. And here are the lilies left in the fridge. I still have quite a bit. You can tell most of these are either closed or opening up, and the ones that are opening up I'm keeping in here because those are colors that I don't think are going to do well at the co-op tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. It is now 6 a.m. on market day. Didn't get a chance to record what I did yesterday outside of time lapse. The baby had a meltdown. So nice and quiet right now. Let me show you what I'm bringing to the market. I'm so excited. There's a lot of lilies. So this is 2 buckets jam-packed with lilies, the majority of them being rose lilies. And obviously we have some oriental trumpets over here. There's more of the peach that the florists seemed to love last time. So I'm hoping that I'll at least get rid of a couple of bunches. Now, a couple of things to note. The crazy thing is that, let me take out this one over here. This is 5 stems. Super abundant, super full. The reason why I have them open is because these florists are typically doing events or weddings on the weekends. So I want to make sure that today's Wednesday, by the time it gets to Saturday, this is full and looking at its prime for event today. So this is perfectly open. With the oriental trumpets, it definitely is a lot quicker to open. So I usually try to transport them like at this stage where maybe one bud is open. They are honestly a pain in the butt to transport and they start getting bruised and everything. So it's difficult doing it. And I think if I were to sell florists next year, I would really just focus on growing these rose lilies because they just look so good. Now, I have a bunch in my refrigerator that I did not bring. Those are more of like the gaucho, the pinks, the oriental trumpet pinks. So I find that the peach does really well. I think the rose lilies should do well because these are very close to color palettes that people are looking for. Not sure how this one's going to do, but it is cheery, it is yellow. So we'll see. And then I finally got some dahlias. I'm just gonna do a 5 bunch of dahlia, some amaranth here. This one of them was pre-ordered, some white light was pre-ordered. I had a lot of flea beetle damage before, but finally, I think this time of year it's letting up, and I have some of these I think they're, I don't know what they are. They're probably some sort of plum that needs to be wrapped up. But yeah, this is going to market. So what I'm really interested in seeing here is I have 2 rose lily bunches pre-sold and 1 of the yellow sold. So I'm interested to see, can I sell maybe 2 more of the rose lilies and 1 more of the peach? I'd be really happy if that were the scenario. I honestly don't care if the sea holly, the amaranth, the sunflower sell. This is more of a lily experiment, and I think I'm bringing enough today where I can gauge that, and we'll talk about after what I do with the lilies that don't sell, cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now I'm going to load up the car and make some breakfast, some coffee, and bring it with me to the market. This is how much of a rush I am. I still have to bunch up some stuff. Got some rubber bands, didn't drink my coffee, half-eaten breakfast sandwich, but I'm on the road. So I am back in the market, and this is what I'm left with. I sold 5 bunches. So these yellows, I will likely actually give them away to a CSA customer who I owed a bunch anyway. It was a free bunch, just as a thank you for being such a great customer. I've got a lot of these unique doubles, which I was a little surprised that they didn't go, but it is b.a.r.e weekend number 2. So I'm thinking I might make some mixed bouquets and just call them b.a.r.e bouquets. These are the Zelmira. These will be great for my CSA customers. So the point is I will have lots of ways to reuse these stems and basically petal them off in a different outlet. Hey everyone, it is now 7 p.m. in the evening. I am on my way to harvest lilies. So it's right before dinner. It's a little bit cooler, I guess. It's pretty warm today, but I already harvested lilies at around noon today, and this will be my second harvest today because you can tell that with just the heat, everything is opening up. So I would rather harvest earlier than later because then that gives me more time to hold it in my cooler. So let me show you what we have. We actually have a couple of areas where I'm growing lilies. There's one over here, which is my first and second succession. This one has my second and third succession. And then I've got a couple more successions scattered around, but I had my eyes here because these definitely need to be picked. I think this is snowboard, so shame on me for not doing a good job labeling. There are some where you can see over here, I had the tag in here, but it's been rained on and God knows what that says. I think that's Twyford, that's how you say it, but there are some crates here where I painter's tape. Really bad idea, of course, and so I have no idea what they are. But I think this one over here is snowboard or a blizzard or Chardonnay. It's a white one, and these are gonna be massive. Look at this head. That is a much bigger head than something like this. So these 2 are definitely going to be ready for next week. So this is Amistad, which did really, really well this week. That's the one that has that very pale blush with the white. This is the one that's just white. I only had 1 bunch and that one got snapped up in pre-orders. So I'm going to harvest these. You can see that these are also coloring up. So I'm going to harvest the Twyford. And then let me show you. Oh my God, there's also some that are coloring up over here. And if I had a guess, it's probably like a King Solomon or a Gaucho on that one. But let me show you some other ones that I have that are going to be ready soon. Oh, en route to where I'm going, I've got a lot of pink strawflower. I think this is going to be great with the b.a.r.e theme for tomorrow. So I think I'm going to wake up early and harvest these, or maybe if I have time, I'll do it today. But that's going to be great. The real question is my filler. Am I going to have enough mint? But here's some Corcovado, which I'm going to let it go for maybe another day. Corcovado is that creamy yellow. I just want to make sure that the secondary and tertiary buds are fine. Technically, you can harvest right now and have it in the cooler or something like that and open up gradually. But I just want to be extra certain since I'm still relatively new at harvesting. And then here's another section where I have some more lilies. These over here, I think should be ready in maybe about 2 weeks. So I've got quite a bit. There's more lilies over there, more lilies in that bed over there. As you can see, I'm swimming lilies, and I have another 400 that just came, which are LA hybrids. And those I am putting in the ground. So I think I put in about 150. And yeah, lots of lilies. So I think next week at the co-op, I'm going to try to sell lilies again. And then sidebar from lilies, my Lisianthus are coming in. So these guys are, man, they sell really well at the co-op, obviously, because we work with a lot of wedding designers. So I'm hoping that some of them who use Lisianthus are also going to want to use lilies as a different kind of focal. So this is the bucket, a hodgepodge of different things. I'm just so thrilled that my mountain mint is coming in. I bought 10 from a friend who got them from nursery, and she started some from seed. So these are all from the nursery flat, and it's one of those things where you do want to cut it to encourage more growth. So I'm just super excited to be getting foliage off of them from the first year. Some white lights, a couple of cosmos that haven't opened up, a lot of statice, some strawflower that you saw yesterday that closed up, but they're going to open up a bit more later. And then obviously I will pair these with the pink lilies. But right now it is already so humid. I need to go out and harvest some more lilies. So I'll be right back. All right, so harvested about a dozen more stems of lilies. I have a feeling I'm gonna have to come out at lunch again. Luckily I'm working remotely, so we'll probably harvest about the same, if not a little bit more, because we are going to hit into the high 90s today, tomorrow, and the day after. So the lilies are gonna start blowing open. I'm actually in our new garage right now. I don't know if you can see over there. There's a new chest freezer that we're gonna convert into a fridge. We just got power in here yesterday. So that's one thing that's on the top of the list, which is to hook up that fridge, test it to see the humidity levels and everything, and then hopefully start housing lilies in there, because I don't have enough room in my regular fridge since lilies are so wide branching and they're so fragile, and it's just such a nightmare to try to put realistically more than like 50 stems into a 5-gallon pot or 5-gallon hardware bucket in the refrigerator. So I have these ready. I'm gonna let the fillers condition, and then we're gonna make bouquets later. So it is now my lunch break. I have some free time from meetings, so I quickly put together 2 bouquets just so I could have images for Facebook Marketplace. And I was gonna price these at $15, but seeing how big they are, I'm gonna price them at $20 and 2 for $30. So I'm gonna put them on Facebook Marketplace as well as my personal Facebook page. I'm gonna market these as Barbie themed bouquets and see how they go. And if there's not a lot of interest, then I will also offer delivery tomorrow. So let's see how they do. So it's now 8:30 p.m. It is my 3rd time harvesting today. That's how quickly this hot weather is making stuff bloom. So let me show you which kind of stems I'm gonna harvest, just to be proactive in terms of not having them completely blow open when I wake up in the morning. So this guy is definitely ready to harvest because you can see that the bud is lifting. So is this guy. This one's colored up. Those are ready. So I'm gonna harvest basically this crate, and then there's a couple over here which you can tell are totally ready. Like that one's ready. It's totally colored. The petals are starting to lift from the bud. So yeah, I'm gonna harvest these and then put them into the basement because it's gonna be, I mean, it's like still 85 degrees outside right now. So just wanna get them into a cooler spot as soon as possible. Here we are, got another dozen stems, and I'm sure there will be more to harvest tomorrow. So it's now the morning of the 28th, and I'm putting together some bouquets for my CSA customers. I only have 3 this week, and these started opening up. I think this is Blizzard, so also another double OT hybrid. or a rose lily in this case. And the good thing about rose lilies is that they're pretty much pollenless and have a very, very light fragrance. So I am learning that some of my customers don't love fragrance of lilies, of course, but check this out. She is a beauty, and I love working with lilies because the bouquet is a lot easier to make in my view. You just use the stem as the central point and you layer around it. So I'm going to show you some photos of some of the bouquets that I've made. I am about to go deliver bouquets. I'll close out this video showing you what those bouquets look like, but I want to talk about numbers because at the end of the day, this video is really to show how lilies have sustained my sales at a time when I really didn't have a lot of time to commit to the farm. So this week, so I'm gonna count the one day before the video started. So Monday through today, which is Friday, I sold $190 total in lilies. Of that, $125 was to florists and another $65 was to retail. Now that retail consisted of straight bunches, but also of mixed bouquets. And I took out the amount that I allocated to non-lilies. So this is just specific to lilies. I basically priced my retail stems at $5 a stem for lilies. Now, when you take a broader look at the month of July, I sold $640 worth of lilies. That is 80% of my total July sales. My baby's having a good time, of $776, right? So all of July so far, I've done $776 in sales, of which 640 was lilies. So that is a significant piece of the July pie. And honestly, without lilies, I would never have been able to get a number like this. So a couple of things worth mentioning about lilies. The first is that while lilies comprised of 80% of my July sales, I still have a lot of lilies in my refrigerator downstairs. And in the progress of making this video, I harvested about 35 more stems of lilies. So I'm swimming in lilies. And to be honest, lilies are not one of those flowers that you grow and they automatically come and buy them. They're not like dahlias. You have to work at selling lilies. So on the florist front, I mentioned before, a lot of florists are still not necessarily using lilies in event work just because of the association with funeral flowers. And I realized this week that a lot of it is associated with scent, right? So when you step into a funeral home, a lot of times they use lilies. And I think that there's that connection. But little by little, I can tell that the florists are dipping their toes into lilies. And part of it for me is just consistently showing up with lilies, not only in person on the market floor, but also on Instagram so that designers can see that there is more florists using them and how they open over time. So I show up every single week so that later on, when I'm fully committed to lilies, I have a market for them. The second thing is from a retail perspective, obviously not everyone enjoys the smell of lilies, myself included. I don't mind them. I don't get a headache, but do I love them? No. So I find that it's about like 50-50. 50% absolutely love the smell, 50% don't. And that's totally fine. There are lilies out there that you can grow that have 0 scent. So that is my next session. I am going to grow LA hybrids, which don't have any scent, and we're going to see how those varieties do. But it's really clear that there are people who love the smell of lilies and they are willing to pay for them. So my lily subscription this time around didn't do that well in terms of getting subscribers because the majority of people in my last CSA subscription would have renewed, but they didn't particularly enjoy the smell of the oriental trumpets. So for those customers, I'll put some rose lilies in there, and that's totally fine because it's a much lighter fragrance and they're looking forward to my tulip subscription. All this to say, lilies are a wonderful flower, wonderful focal. They're very, very easy to grow, but there is a lot of work to be done on the marketing and selling front. I am very optimistic that they are going to continue to do well. It's a matter of me really educating people. One, in terms of pollen management, you always want to take out the anthers whenever the lilies are just starting to open, because you can actually manage the pollen a lot better. They're not going to start dropping on your counter and staining everything. The second is educating customers, that both retail and florists, that there are non-scented lilies out there. The third is the versatility of rose lilies and how versatile they are as a focal, because they're not necessarily always huge and giant. They can be worked into bouquets, centerpieces, and of course they're great out of water. So for all those reasons, I think that there's a lot of work that can be done for lilies to be a greater opportunity. But even right now, again, without lilies, I really wouldn't have had a July. So I hope that this video got across the message that if you're on the fence about growing lilies, I would encourage you to try it, especially if you're someone who doesn't have a ton of time and you want to have some sort of baseline sales. And if you're someone who is growing lilies, that there is hope out there. You just have to put in the work to do the marketing around them. And I'll continue to keep you updated on how my lily venture is growing, but it is already late July, which means that we are soon going to turn our attention to winter tulips, believe it or not. So a lot more to come on that. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.